y'all? It is DCTF Live for Friday, Casual Friday, January 8th, 2016. My name is Greg Tepper, managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Over there is Max Thompson. This is episode 51.
Ooh, this is going to be a tricky one. Tricky number. We might have had him.
The Justin Grimm episode.
What?
You could also go with Mark Brandenburg, Elizardo Ramirez, a number of choices. Mike Bassick, Richard Hidalgo. I thought when the Rangers traded for Richard Hidalgo, I was like, this is it. They're making the run.
Let's just call it the Ichiro
episode. We are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the state of Texas. We are like 4 hours going to press on the 2016 winter edition.
Our hair is on fire.
It's been a busy week, and so we're almost done with the winter edition, and we'll be talking about it a lot next week. We are kind of changing things up, going from a season recap to more of a recruiting edition. We'll have more details on that next week, but
even though you and I kind of feel like recruiting is a dirty word.
We can talk about that next week too. My mixed emotions on recruiting in general, but we will have an interesting edition of the show next week, talking about the new DCTF Winter Edition, which is coming out here pretty soon. A little later in the show, we're going to introduce Off Topic Friday, because I think that we have this show here where we do 2.5 hours, right? 2.5 hours every week of broadcasting.
Even more during the football season.
And we do a pretty good job, I think.
Sticking to football.
Sticking to
sports.
Stick to sports. But Fridays in the off season, the last segment of the week, we're going to devote it to Off Topic Friday. What I want to do, I haven't told you this.
Uh-oh.
I want to get a wheel.
I don't know. It should be.
And I want to spin the topic wheel. I think that would be.
We can discuss whether a wheel is viable when we switch our studio location.
Yeah, that's coming here pretty soon. Do you have any big plans for the weekend?
I don't know. My wife makes all my plans for me now.
My wife. Yeah, she does fill out the dance card. Didn't you say you were going to go play video games Saturday night?
Oh, yeah. I think Saturday night I'm going to do like the crazy Dave & Buster's night. I haven't done that in like years. It just feels like I need to go play like Pop-A-Shot for 2 hours.
It's like going to a casino, except there's no potential payoff.
She loves air hockey. She's obsessed with air hockey. Carrie likes air hockey more than just about any game that I like in an arcade.
Wow. Air hockey's fun.
She's all about it.
I'm an air hockey guy. I like air hockey.
Yeah.
I remember that I gotta say, now that I'm an adult-ish, and you can look back at your childhood, boy, tickets were the biggest scam in the world, right?
Oh, horrible scam.
I mean,
horrible scam.
It's like, I've got 5,000 tickets. I can now.
But the cool thing about
I can now go get this cool.
It's sort of like
cool magnetic poster.
I know, right? If you go to Dave & Buster's now, if you go on a Saturday night, you might run into some kids. Mm-hmm. That's the fun part. If you end up with a bunch of tickets, you just give it to a kid. Like, hey, kid. Oh, it made their night.
Yeah, agreed. I understand that. Well, good.
I do feel like going on Saturday night might be dangerous, though. It's just going to be a mess of people.
Maybe, but I also think it's going to be adults mostly. If you go to a place like Dave & Buster's.
The adults are the worst part,
It won't be like going to Chuck E. Cheese.
No. But I'm not worried about the kids, honestly. It's like just a bunch of people acting stupid.
Yeah, but that's kind of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what life is. We all walk through life trying to be less stupid.
I guess we'll see.
So part of the thing that we're doing with the winter edition is that it is a recruiting focus. And so one thing we thought would be fun is that this has been a great opportunity for us to get really in deep with a lot of different recruits across the state. We're going to preview more than 400 recruits in the magazine. And so looking through it, there are the names that you recognize, right? Greg Little. Everybody in the state knows the Allen offensive lineman Greg Little.
Right.
Kyle Porter, the Katy running back. Okay. Mark Jackson, the Cibolo Steel defensive end. Like, there are guys who are mega recruits that people know. You know, they're not flying under any radars. But I think the most fun part of putting together this magazine has been the guys that I haven't known a whole lot about.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, we go through these lists for each class, especially, and you get into the younger classes, the 18s and the 19s, even 17. You discover guys you didn't know were out there, but you watch their film or you read some stuff about them. You go, oh man,
yeah, this guy's good.
B.J. Foster was one for me.
Yeah.
Safety, Angleton, big kid, playmaker. Kind of amazed I hadn't heard of him yet.
Yeah, that's isn't that funny? But
No.
I kind of put together a list. This is by no means a full list. There's a lot
Considering there are over 400 in the magazine. Not to give anything away.
There's a lot of underrated prospects,
Yeah.
but here are 5 guys that, in the process of putting together this magazine and watching film on them and looking at them,
Really
I was
caught
like,
your eye.
wow,
Yeah.
okay, I should have known about this kid a long time ago.
All right.
We're going to start in the small school ranks, and we're going to start on defense. Okay?
Oh, here we go.
We're going to start with Shepherd defensive end Jonathan Marshall.
Interesting choice.
You may not have heard of Shepherd. Shepherd is a smaller school, but he is a man among boys. Okay, this is a district. This is 4A Division II. Okay, Shepherd.
Yeah.
They went 9-3 this year, and this is a kid at defensive end, 6'3", 270.
So he might end up being a defensive tackle.
6'3", 270, playing defensive end at a 4A school.
482 level. Yeah.
And he is a monster, a
Yeah.
man among boys out there. I mean, you got to commit 2 blockers to him every time,
Sure.
and then that still might not be
Yeah.
enough. He's got that. He's got the speed for his size. He's got great strength. And what I was really impressed with Jonathan Marshall out of Shepherd, what I was really impressed with was when he gets off, his initial contact is violent.
Yeah.
It is just
Boom.
It is a punch that
It's
not a whole lot of people have.
It's interesting, if I was going to draw a comparison to someone at that level, similarly, a bigger name in recruiting, Legarian Carson.
Yeah.
Because watching him in person, I saw him in 2 different playoff games this fall.
Yes.
Man among boys.
Yeah.
I mean, kids, he would hit guys and they would fly. And that's not hyperbole. That's the kids would literally travel 3-4 feet through the air if he caught them unawares.
Yeah. It's but that's kind of the same thing that I had watching this kid, watching Jonathan Marshall out of Shepherd. It is just now part of it has to do obviously with he's playing 4A ball.
Right.
That he's not playing at the 6A level, so he is bigger than a lot of these kids.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, you can see how that's going to translate.
Right.
That he's just the skill set is very violent, and I think I like that.
Yeah. So look him up.
Exactly. Now we're going to travel on over to quarterbacks, and quarterbacks are always very hard. I think I find that they are the hardest to project.
Oh, for sure.
And I know you watched a lot of film on this kid as well. But Luke Skipper out of Forney, I'm really surprised I hadn't paid more attention to him after watching his film, because he's just a fun kid to watch.
Yeah.
He's
entertaining.
He led them in passing and rushing. 33 passing touchdowns, 17 rushing touchdowns. For a Forney team that he's a 3-year starter.
Yeah.
He is really, really fun to watch. What I like about him a lot, he's 6'2", 195, so you got to like the measurables.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is that he only threw 5 interceptions. He threw the ball 296 times as a senior, only 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
So he takes care of the ball. And I think that when you've got guys who are throwing a lot, and the word gunslinger gets tossed around a lot. But the thing about being a gunslinger is that there's actually a negative connotation to that. Because that means you're going to throw a lot of interceptions.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who's not a risk taker.
No.
Or at least, if he is a risk taker, he got away with a lot of them, because a lot of his throws are on the money in tight windows. Like I said, I really like his throwing motion, able to step up into the pocket and fire I like this kid a lot. I was really impressed with Luke Skipper watching his film.
I would say the one thing that you do start to notice when you start looking at all these quarterbacks player by player, two things stand out. Number one, accuracy, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You start to realize that a lot of these guys are throwing way more interceptions than I think most coaches would be comfortable with. So when a guy puts in a low number like that, you go, that really catches your attention.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that takes care of the football. Number one. Number two, you're absolutely right. You start to notice throwing motions.
Mm-hmm.
Which guys are ready for the next level, won't need quite as much adjustment in their throwing motion, and which guys can throw the ball around, but you go, that's never going to work with 6'5" defensive lines in front of them.
Yeah.
It's just, those are the first two things that really jump out at you when you start breaking down these guys on an individual basis, go through a full list like we've been doing.
Yeah, but Luke Skipper really jumped off the page to me.
Yeah.
Another guy that, we talk so much about measurables, okay?
Right.
This guy does not have measurables. A running back who's 5'6", 155 pounds.
Right.
That homie don't play that. Okay, what I mean? But Dewanya Tucker out of Terrell. Goodness gracious.
Right.
In space, he is electrifying. Quick feet, a ludicrous burst. He gets up to top speed, and his top speed is faster than pretty much everyone else on the field. It is nuts. If you can get past the fact that he's 5'6",
right?
He's never going to be big, guys. Like there's some things.
Rogers wasn't big.
Yeah, there are never. He's never going to. There's not a growth spurt coming. Okay, 5'6", 155 pounds. He can probably put on another 20 to 25 pounds in college and still keep his speed.
Yeah, but
he's never going to be taller than about 5'7" if he has a growth spurt. I mean,
you never know.
He's never going. He's probably not.
Are you a doctor?
Well, in this country, no. But Dewanya Tucker at Terrell, if you are looking for a kid who can flat out fly, I mean, this is a kid who, and I think that in a lot of ways when you watch him, because Terrell didn't use him in the way that they use a lot of people use undersized guys. They ran him, between the tackles as well.
Okay.
And I think that his size is actually an advantage in that regard because he can kind of squeeze through a little. He gets kind of lost behind the big offensive lineman, and he squeezes through these tight little pockets.
Right.
I liked watching him a lot. He's a water bug out there, just all over the field. I really liked watching Dewanya Tucker's film as we were putting together the winter edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Another guy, we're going to switch over to the Big Hog Mollies. Now, I was an offensive lineman, a bad one, but I was an offensive lineman.
I still don't believe it.
I was an offensive lineman, so I have a soft spot in my heart for offensive linemen. And so when I'm able to watch a really good offensive tackle prospect, it just warms my heart. And that's what I saw when I watched Braxton Webb at San Angelo Central. The guy that everybody knows at San Angelo Central is their quarterback. It's Brennan Wooten. That's the guy who's getting all the hype and all this fun stuff. Boy, his tackle's something special too. 6'5", 275. So he's got that. And I think that his what I like about him is that at 6'5", 275, he looks lean. He looks pretty well put together to the point that he could probably put on some weight.
Yeah.
Like he could probably get up to 290, and still carry it well. And I'll tell you that I like that his footwork's coming along. He's a bit of a project. Okay. He's still got some room to grow. But I think that he understands the game. He's got a good football IQ. He's a guy who because of his frame, he's getting a lot of looks. And if he grows into that frame and his footwork gets just a little bit better, he could be a really quality prospect. Yeah. I think that there's still room to grow there. He's a bit more of a project, but I like his frame. That's something he can't teach. And I like that as you are watching his film, he seemed to get better. There's a lot of guys who, when you watch their film, that's just what they are. That's what you're getting. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, that's what you're getting. I get the feeling watching Braxton Webb is that he's a guy who's learning. He's a guy who's getting better week by week. And the coaches rave about him. I really liked watching Braxton Webb out at San Angelo Central. He was a lot of fun. And then finally, and this is a guy I'll admit was not under my radar, but I hadn't necessarily considered him in a prospect regard.
Okay.
Colin Rock. We're calling him an athlete out of Cypress Ranch. He played quarterback for Cy Ranch.
He also has a great name.
And he played it well. He was a dual threat guy at the quarterback position. He was, and what I liked about him is that whenever you watched a Cy Ranch game, he always looked like he understood what was going on. He never looked flustered. He always understood I think he's got a great football IQ just based on watching him. He also played safety, so if you're talking about a leader type guy, I mean, if you're playing safety and quarterback, you're doing a lot of good things.
You're running the ship on both sides.
Exactly. And this is a guy who, when you play both ways, especially at the 6A level, and in taking him to a state title game in 2014, easy. I mean, he's doing a lot out there. He's clearly a smart kid. I'm interested to see where he lands as far as position is concerned. He's probably not a quarterback on the next level, but I'm interested to see. I think you could bulk him up and play him at safety. I think you could play him at wide receiver. I think you could put him in a lot of different positions and he would succeed because he's a guy who understands the game so well.
Right.
Colin Rock's a guy who really jumped off the screen at me. So what other prospects are we missing? You can check it out in the upcoming winter edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
I don't think we're missing any prospects.
I don't think we're missing any, but what prospects should we have mentioned in this segment that we didn't? Get in touch with us at #DCTF Live. We are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, and you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Search DCTF Live Podcast. And now, Max, I forgot the magazine.
The magazine.
So we are going to kick off Topic Friday.
There was another magazine?
There was.
Uh-oh.
Our friends at Texas Monthly. You remember this magazine.
Okay.
Our friends at Texas Monthly put out First of all, let's reset. Hello, this is Off Topic Friday, where the last segment of every week, last segment of every week, we're going to devote to something decidedly not football related.
Okay.
And this week,
I didn't sanction this.
You're right, and I put out a call on Twitter and asked people, hey, what should we talk about? And we had some jerks like Corbett Smith who were like, hey, talk about really divisive political things, which we're not going to do. If you want our political opinions, here they are. Politics are stupid, and you're stupid if you like politics. There you go. Both sides are wrong. Sorry, guys.
Football's way more fun to talk about.
Exactly. We got some people who want us to talk about Making a Murderer, which I would totally be down for, but I don't think you've watched it.
I haven't watched it. I also feel like it's one. Do you know what's weird about that? Everyone just assumes you have. Like, there are spoilers. Like, the normal spoiler protocol on the internet has been completely thrown out for Making a Murder. Like, it's.
Well, and that's the name
just,
of that's how
you've obviously seen it. Let's talk about everything about it.
Well, and that's the honestly, it was so smart of what Netflix did was that they dumped it out there over Christmas.
Yeah.
So that everybody who's sick of their family is like, hey, do you want to sit around and watch TV for 11 hours and not talk?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. But it was I think you should watch it. I think you'd really like it.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
Especially now that this magazine is almost done.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the weirdest thing in the world to me, especially coming off the heels of Star Wars, which I still haven't seen. But for the most part, if you're on the internet, not trying to find spoilers,
you should see Star Wars too.
Well, no, I'm going to.
Okay, good.
But the point, probably this weekend. But the point is just, generally speaking, you're protected from spoilers still with Star Wars. It's been weeks.
But I think that's the changing nature of media consumption is that with these binge watching type things.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're watching a show and let's say you're watching a show and it's in a linear format, so it's on AMC every Sunday.
Right.
Okay, it's Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Okay. At that point, if you were watching Breaking Bad and the show comes out on Sunday, I'm not going to talk to you about it on Monday.
Correct.
Tuesday, I'm probably going to come and be like,
have you seen it?
Hey, did you see it? And if you say no, I'm going to say, get on it because I want to talk to you about it tomorrow. Sure. To me, you have 3 days.
Yeah.
You have, if it comes out Sunday, you better have watched it by Wednesday. Otherwise, I'm talking about it.
But if it's a bunch of other shows, like if it's a binge watching thing and it comes out at Friday and midnight, get your crap together.
That's the thing, is that you've got to really be on your game to avoid spoilers.
How do people have this much time in their lives? I don't.
I don't know. I'm trying to cut back because I'm trying to read more. Because I'm a big nerd. My goal is my New Year's resolution was to read 20 books, and so,
I'll never say like my job's so hard. Like I'm not digging ditches. I'm not doing like, but I am completely consumed with work a lot of the time.
I mean, I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Although the good thing is once this magazine's done, then we can,
I'll probably find something else.
I'm sure you will.
I'm a glutton for this stuff.
Danny Davis at the Austin American Statesman wanted us to do power rankings on the final season of American Idol.
Danny.
He also wanted us to talk about Will Smith, which
Danny
we're
has
not
a
going to do.
lot of bad ideas.
But the winner of what we're going to talk about comes from our friends at Sports Day HS, the Dallas Morning News' outstanding high school football site.
It's really just Avi.
Their question, correct. Their question, where can we find the best tacos in Texas?
Oh, boy.
Well, which brings up the
Here
better
we
point
go.
about tacos. And I think that we should probably
I thought
establish
we were
that.
going to talk about divisive things.
Yeah. We should probably talk about this from the outset. Tacos?
Are awesome.
Pretty great.
Pretty great.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think we need to come to the realization, as Americans, we like to, pound our chest and talk a big game when it comes to everything.
Sure.
We have lost the food competition.
No.
Okay?
No.
Because the best food item in the world,
Okay.
the best food genre,
Okay.
is Mexican food.
Okay.
And the best food item in
Okay.
the best food genre
Okay.
is the taco.
All right.
Do you disagree?
Yeah, but I'm not like I love tacos, so I'm not going to make a stink about it. It's just not the first thing I would eat.
What is? What would you take over a well-made taco?
A great pizza or a great barbecue.
Man, I think that's wrong. I'd take a taco over either.
I mean, it's fine if you would rather have a taco. I don't really care. I would rather have barbecue or pizza, and then probably a taco.
I just don't. I don't know. I think I'd
sorry,
I think I'd go taco, barbecue.
I've lived in Kansas City. I've lived in Texas. Barbecue is the spine of my life, and then pizza. I love pizza.
I mean,
Pizza's
pizza's
awesome.
good. I don't think anybody's crapping on pizza.
No one's crapping on pizza, but that's the other thing. Having lived all over the place for that, pizza. I've eaten so much pizza. I still love pizza.
Okay.
I love tacos, but probably third on my list.
Okay. I love tacos. I think
Okay.
tacos are great.
Yeah.
And so you have also traveled the state a little bit.
Yep.
And so the question was posed to us, and we're going to get a lot of people who are very angry with us whenever
Sure.
we answer. Where are the best tacos?
Okay.
Well,
I think this is sort of a two-part answer for
Okay.
me, right? Because the best tacos I've had doesn't mean those are the best tacos.
okay.
I'm sure.
Correct. No, and that's true. I think that there is the notion that we are experts, and we are
Right.
not. These are two men's opinions, albeit in incomplete.
Right.
We haven't eaten tacos in every city in America, or every city in the state, which is really the only state that matters. But
I've had tacos in El Paso, and
Mhm.
I've had tacos down in the valley in
Mhm.
places like Alamo and McAllen and
Mhm.
places closer to the border. They were very good tacos. Were they the best tacos I've ever had? No, but I probably wasn't eating the best places for tacos in those cities.
okay, so then
I would like to give those cities the benefit of the doubt for
So-
having the best tacos,
so
but I
then
can't say with any authority because I didn't eat all the tacos.
So then, where is the best taco you've ever eaten?
I mean, all three are probably in Austin.
Okay.
Just because I lived there for 6
Mhm.
years and you eat every freaking taco that you can there.
Mhm.
And I would also say I'm kind of skewed because a lot of them were breakfast tacos.
See, now that's an
That's a
interesting.
whole other thing.
Yeah, I mean, do you compare a really good? For example, I am a sucker for if we go to a restaurant.
I feel like this is as pointless as debating the meaning of life, but go ahead.
No,
Just tacos. It's just the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, but then this and then this and
I
then
know,
this and then
I know,
this
but
and then
this is-
this and
that's
then
why
this and
there's-
this.
and you were worried we wouldn't have anything to talk about.
I wasn't sure about that.
So here's the thing for me is that if we go to a Mexican restaurant
Mhm.
and you have brisket tacos,
Right.
I'm ordering the brisket tacos
Sure.
because brisket tacos
Yeah.
are proof that God is real and He loves us.
Sure.
But then do you lump that in the same vein as a breakfast taco? Because breakfast tacos run the gambit. There are bad breakfast
They're
tacos out
terrible
there.
breakfast tacos.
But if you get a really good breakfast taco,
Pretty awesome. Your day is going to be better.
man, that is something that's
Uh-huh.
really really good. The best tacos I've had probably reside in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, again, this isn't a complete list, but the tacos I've had in San Antonio at various establishments have been excellent. I have been to the Valley, but I have never eaten tacos in the Valley, which is
Okay.
I mean, like I know it's like going to Disney World and not riding the teacups, but
Sure.
it's the truth of it.
Yeah.
But the best tacos I've probably had were probably in San Antonio. I do think that I like when parts of the state fight over tacos. That makes me really happy because I think that it should be a point of pride. It should be on your city emblem.
Sure.
Like your best taco.
Right.
It should be on your city emblem. I think it's an important part of your cultural identity.
Yeah.
Are you a soft taco guy or a hard shell guy?
Well, I don't really care as long as it's corn.
Ah, okay. That was going to be my next question. You're a corn guy over flour.
Yeah.
I am generally with you.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Breakfast taco's the exception. I'd rather have flour.
You'd rather have flour with breakfast tacos. And sometimes I'm feeling the soft flour tortilla. I can't explain why.
Yeah.
I can't explain why.
No one's asking you to.
But it just strikes you. You know, when you're sitting there, you're like, you know what? I think I do want.
Okay.
All
right.
The breakfast taco. Is a hot dog a taco?
No.
I think you're probably right.
Because a taco isn't on bread. You want to have the hot dog sandwich thing?
No,
I'm just saying the hot dog sandwich thing I will entertain because bread.
I'm stream of consciousing here.
But taco, hot dog, bread. Difference.
Okay. I can get on board with that.
Okay.
I can get on board with that. To me, though, I think that tacos are an important part of being a Texan.
Sure.
I think that part of the Texanness is that we are a melting pot of a lot of different cultures. And we have a lot of Mexican influence in the state of Texas for a lot of really good reasons because their food is amazing.
Right.
If you go to a Mexican restaurant, obviously it depends on how you're feeling or if they have a particular specialty, but do you immediately gravitate towards the tacos? Or do you go for
I'm like, I'll go back to what you said. If you have brisket tacos, that's the first thing I'm looking for.
Yeah. I've become more and more a fan of the what do you call it? It's the round crispy thing. It's the fried taquito. Flautas. That's it. Flautas are making a strong play for me.
Fried things are always
I mean if you take something good,
but in general for me,
and you dip it in oil that's like boiling, I will eat it.
In general for me, if you have brisket or carnitas.
Yeah, carnitas.
I'm checking out what you got.
Carnitas are. I'm very glad to see carnitas find their way into the mainstream because I feel like for a long time they were kind of they were like the third or fourth option you had down there. Yeah. But for me, I'm very glad that carnitas have started to make a play in kind of general taco fare.
Yeah.
Do you have now that you live in Dallas? Do you have a go-to taco place yet?
No.
No, you don't.
No.
I know your wife is from here. Does she have a go-to taco place, or
no,
is she not a taco person?
You know what? She's from here, but she's from Arlington. There aren't good tacos in Arlington.
It's probably not.
And she would say that too.
Untrue.
There's no good tacos in Arlington.
It's probably. I mean, you probably got to go to.
Now, what there is surprisingly some good places popping up in Arlington. Great Southern food.
Really, like
Southern comfort food. Some Creole.
Get a little shrimp and grits in your world.
You're surprisingly like 3 or 4 places in Arlington that kick butt.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I may have to mosey on over to Agtown and have.
That has been the biggest surprise of moving there.
Yeah.
Is
my go-to Southern comfort place down here is there's a place called Hattie's in Bishop Arts District.
Okay.
Shrimp and grits.
All right.
On point. That's some free advertisement for Hattie's, which is already wildly popular and doesn't need our little podcast to talk about it. Do you have a topic you would like to have for Off Topic Friday? Let us know at
We
DCTF.
didn't really establish anything controversial with that little segment, though.
No, we just talked about.
Well, what's your go-to taco place in Dallas?
My go-to taco place?
Yeah.
There's I'm a fan of. This is a very hot sports opinion because there's a lot of people who don't like it, but I really liked Fuel City Tacos.
Okay.
If it's right just south of downtown Dallas.
Okay.
I really enjoyed myself when I went there. But the best thing for me is the best tacos are undeniably at the places you least expect them to be.
Okay.
Like at that little place in the strip mall that's like called Tacos. You know, and you go in, you're like, oh my god. These tacos are amazing.
This is crazy.
Because that's the one thing that they do.
Right.
if you're going for more, not mass-produced, but I'm a fan of Rusty Taco. There's a Rusty Taco here in Dallas that's made some moves in my world.
All right.
And then I think you got to find a local place. I think that the best places are more local places. But yeah, Fuel City Tacos. If I had to go and pick one taco place to eat in Dallas, it would probably be that.
Now I feel like we accomplished something.
There you go.
Now we have something to argue about. People will be like, "You idiot, those suck."
What's your favorite taco place in the state of Texas? Let us know. Hashtag DCTF Live. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, CS at TexasFootball.com. A little bit of breaking news. The NCAA has announced a 4-year extension to keep the FCS title games in Frisco, which is good.
Oh, that's fun.
Nice. Anyway.
Wonder if they'll put them in that new dome.
I wonder if they will. Maybe.
That'd be fun.
Maybe in the Star.
Yeah.
I told you all the good stuff. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. And we will see you Monday on DCTF Live.